and one of the finest writers that I have met. And at the ripe old age of 18, I mean, I just wish that I had written that book, Neel, because I've known Corbett for 35 years, but you put it down just so right. Why Corbett?
I think it was 12 years ago, the first time I went to the forest.
Louder.
It was 12 years ago, the first time I went to the forest. And there was this instant connect, this creative energy that was within me. And I finally had a way to channelize it, to express what was going on in my head, and to belong to a process that was far greater than what I was or maybe what I stood for. And that gave me this sense of belonging and helped me exploit the innate fearlessness that I had as a child. And that is why Corbett. Also, it's beautiful.
Also, it's beautiful. Well, if any of you guys haven't been to Corbett, I'll tell you this, that when you get to Corbett, Neel, we've discussed this, you're breathing tiger air. Every time the tiger goes, ha, you go, ha. It makes a world of difference. And Neel, tell me this one thing. How come photography? When you started out, it wasn't photography. It was just going there with Aisha and somehow finding yourself in Dhikala or some place like that. When did photography come in?
It was about 4 years after.
Yeah.
There were frequent trips, and one trip, Dad had this old DSLR camera that was just lying at home catching dust. And I picked it up and we took it, and something just clicked. There's a whole new world through that viewfinder. There's so much that you can capture. It's about like telling a story from where there is none and finding a way to tell that story as well. Like, it was just an instant connection. It was like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, irrespective of what happens. And it was just that instant click, and writing came in along the way. Just sitting, watching leaves fall from the forest canopy and just piecing out, I guess. And just, that's when writing came in. Just sat and wrote a lot of stuff, and eventually this happened. So that is how photography and somewhere writing came into my life.
So now, here in India, we're going to have something called the International League of Conservation Photographers. You're going to join?
Definitely.
We're also going to have the International League of Conservation Writers. And you're going to join?
Definitely.
Well, let's put it like this. At this moment in time, the wildlife of India is about as delicate a situation, to use a very polite word. And if guys like Neel can come out and use their cameras and turn it into a weapon of defense, that, Neel, is what your life is going to be. I can tell you this, because as things go on, when the Buddha party retires and you guys take charge, that camera is the one that will get people off the fence. What's your next move? What exactly do you want to do? I know you're going to college and I know all that, and you've started very early. What's your next move?
So I recently finished this project called Space, which was a conservation approach to, like, it was a little unconventional. It was to show what human beings are taking away from animals, to show the natural beauty that is being destroyed, rather than conventional conservation photography, which is more focused on, like roads being built and deforestation and all that stuff, and showing that. But my approach was a little unconventional, and to show the space in the future. So I did this thing called Ivory a couple of months ago, and I want to further develop on that. It's a series on elephants. I would like to display the tusks and the emotion that the animals feel as much as possible. And I believe that's something that has not been covered before, and to sort of show what we're taking away, considering the fact that roads are being built through elephant corridors and all of that stuff, to sort of show what is being taken away. And yeah, basically.
Sometimes I'm listening to you and I can't believe you're 18. When I was 18, I was just chasing girls, you know. And it's remarkable.
I do that too sometimes.
You do that too, is it? Oh, wonderful. That's good news that you're chasing girls, but let's put it like this. Okay. I want you to read something from your book. But even before you read something from your book, I want to know really why the book? I mean, you've been there. I've been following you for what now? 18 years. So why the book? What suddenly jumped into your head? Why the book?
So about 3.5, 4 years ago, I just started writing a lot, and the jungle, it's given me a lot, especially through difficult points in my life. It's helped me grow a lot as a person in terms of patience and resilience, and a lot of the small things that are often overlooked. It's given me that. It leaves me with this sense of peace and just feeling content. So this was my way. This book was my way of giving back to the jungle and everything it has given me. So the writing sort of came together over the last 2.5 years. The photos are 4 years, over 4 years. And this was to help the forest guards in Corbett Tiger Reserve, and we did that through the Sanctuary Nature Foundation. And it was more of like for them, because they have very bad facilities. They do not have adequate drinking water. They walk through the forest unprotected. Sometimes the GPS monitors that they have don't work. So this was to provide them with the facilities of filtered water bottles, stuff that they maybe didn't have, and to just sort of make them feel a little safer and more at home in their environment.
So you have an 18-year-old guy there and you have a 72-year-old guy here. And most of us have been trying to protect Corbett now for the last 40, 45 years. It's still there. That in itself, by the way, is a miracle. But you've got huge problems ahead of you. They want to build a road all the way down. They want to do all manner of things. There are far too many lodges. I know you in that forest. You want to be alone. What's it about that forest? What is it? What is it that, if you had a magic wand, what is it that you would do when you got into Corbett the first time? Apart from getting all the other tourists out.
I'd look for tigers.
You'd look for tigers.
Probably, if I'm honest. But about what you said about the road, that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this series called Ivory. Yeah. Because it is a massive elephant corridor that is being invaded, and it will lead to a lot of elephant casualty as well as human casualty because of the man-animal conflict. And so to sort of oppose that, this series came into my mind, and I'm working on it. But yeah, the first thing I do is look for tigers.
You know, the difference between your time and the time that was is that when we were looking to protect Corbett, for instance, लोग कहते थे कि ये लोग पागल हैं, यहाँ लोग भूखे मर रहे हैं, there are no jobs. Now suddenly, all the scientists of the world have come around and said, if Corbett doesn't exist, we don't exist. It's the carbon cycle, it's climate change. So along with all the photography, that incredible photography that you're doing, are you focusing on the science of things like not the science of photography, but the science of climate change and its connections with biodiversity?
I am, and to add to that a little bit, the grassland ecosystem protection methods that are now being used in Corbett, I think it's a brilliant approach. We were getting to a point where the grasslands were drying out, and the deer didn't have any food to eat, the elephants stopped coming, and that was something that it was just a circle of life, right? And what people didn't look at while burning the grasslands was the little creatures, the small things that make up the ecosystem that has been shaped over centuries. It was overlooked. So, I mean, I think there's some brilliant efforts going on, but there's obviously a lot of work to do and a very long road ahead. When it comes to conservation in Corbett, it is vital for the sub-Shivalik belt, and without it, like, a lot of the surrounding areas would be highly impacted. Without one of the species that are in Corbett, without one of them, it would just be a mess. All the other species would in turn just take a hit, and it would just lead to a lot of problems.
Tell me this. The fact is, I've seen you grow up, all right? But I've seen a whole mind shift in you. Did the book have something to do with it? Did Corbett have something to do with it? Or have you just grown up?
I think the book was an eye-opener in a lot of ways into a world that I had explored for so long, but just into the smallest details, into the stuff that a lot of people overlook. And once you start noticing those smaller things in the jungle, and like the true beauty really speaks to you, you start looking at every rock, every leaf, every insect, and there's a story behind it. There's something to be told. And I think that's the whole point of my book, because for me it was just a massive eye-opener into the things that I always overlooked, into the things that I was just like, okay, tigers, tigers, tigers. But there's so much more to the jungle than just that. Even the butterflies, even the spiders, even the flowers. All the stuff that you're just like, yeah, wow, great, it's there. I started looking at those things, and it gave me a lot of perspective of how many different individual organisms and creatures it takes to keep that ecosystem alive and running. For if that one insect wasn't there, the tiger may not be.
I mean, that really goes without saying. You're completely right, because it's all very well for us to look at the tiger and the elephant and the rhino and XYZ. But the truth is that there is now an understanding that biodiversity is not just the big ones. When you protect the big ones, all the little ones, even the ones the elephant stamps on, they get saved. Now, I want you to read something from here. I know which one I want you to read, but I want you to read what you want to read out of this book. Give us a short reading.
Photography is inherently acquisitive. We take a photo, we shoot a video, we capture the moment. It stems perhaps from desire, the desire to have and to hold for as long as possible, that which is extraordinary. For me, these photographs in this book represent also a yearning for the wild, a desire to be free and to return to a more natural life, to find my way back home. The story of this book begins on a winter afternoon in 2007. I was on a family holiday to the Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, India, a place full of mystery, wonder, and secrets. Corbett boasts of some of the most incredible natural beauty that the country has to offer. With its sal forests, pearl-white riverbeds, dense lantana bush, and lush grasslands, it is an ecosystem unlike any other. Of course, I didn't care about any of this at the time. I was 6 years old, and my untamed heart beat to the rhythm of only one song, Tiger. I was in a safari jeep with my aunt, who had first brought me to Corbett when I was very young. As our jeep inched along the bumpy, winding roads of Corbett, my aunt and I chanced upon merry forest creatures. Herds of deer, elephants, langurs, the occasional jackal. But the big cats, which we were so desperate to see, remained elusive. It was beginning to get late. The sun had drifted behind the blue hills that surround the park. It would soon be time to head back to the forest rest house. Then, just as we crossed watering hole number 4, we came upon a solitary cheetal stag, its head turned away from us, ears pricked up, gazing fixedly at something further ahead on the Jaipur track that we were on. Slowly at first, and then with increasing alarm, the deer started stamping its hooves on the rocks, creating a loud rattle, a sure sign, my aunt told me, that a predator was in the vicinity. It took me a couple of minutes to spot what the cheetal had seen, and when I did, my world tilted on its axis, forever changed. It was a feeling I still find difficult to describe. It was almost otherworldly. I felt extreme euphoria, as if something much greater than myself had taken complete possession of my senses. Emerging from the undergrowth, just a few meters ahead of our jeep, was a large Bengal tiger, glowing rust and gold in the waning daylight. I would know her later as Shakti, the epitome of power, of divine energy. She graced us for some 15 minutes, pacing unhurriedly on the dirt track before us, and then disappeared into the shadows. That was it. Nothing more spectacular or dramatic happened, and yet I would never be the same person again. So it all started with Shakti, whose elegance and charisma reminded me of my own mother. She was the first tiger I ever saw and will forever remain the most special one. Everything I know about the mystical land of Corbett, and in some ways about life, is because of her. There have been others after her, tigers who have shown me things that most photographers only dream of seeing. The journeys I have made to seek them out have taken me deep into the wild, where I have witnessed the magical coexistence of a variety of life. From wise and gentle elephants to exquisite small birds that are more often heard than seen, and of course the mighty Ramganga River, home to entire worlds which flow through the park, carrying secrets and memories from mountains that rose from an ancient sea. Some of the most beautiful, defining, and eye-opening moments of my life have happened in this jungle. Here I have understood the infinite generosity of nature, but also seen its ruthlessness, and the strength, perseverance, and ultimately the grit it takes to survive in the forest. A lesson in resilience well learned. I sometimes feel that I was made solely to wander the depths of Corbett, stumbling upon joy untold. The tigers aren't simply the animals of my favorite jungle. They are my family. They've shaped me into the person I am. My love for them is eternal and unconditional. If browsing through the pages of this book makes you feel even a small part of that love, my work here is done.
Whoa. I know what I want 18-year-olds to do. I want them to phase out my generation because we have not done well by them. I don't know why that happened, but I do know this. I absolutely do know this. Kids like this, they write books at the age of 18. They could write books on anything. They write books on Corbett. Corbett is not a forest, it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. It's a dream. It's an absolute dream, and it is your lifeboat for tomorrow. So give me your hand. It's not just that. Give me your hand open. There, that's a baton I've given you. You promise that you'll protect what you've written about for the rest of your life. Okay? I don't know if the format allows for questions and stuff like this, but the fact is that I would like you to tell me, I know what I want you to do. I want you to tell me what you are going to do. What are you going to do for the next 10 years? You've written this book. What are you going to do to protect Corbett? And it's not Corbett. It's not just a tiger, which is just a metaphor for everything, all of nature. What do you want to do? Here's a magic wand I'm giving you. What would you like to see happen in India with forests, with everything else?
I think for starters, it would be to sort of reduce the encroachment that is going on right now around Corbett, especially with new lodges coming up every day, people building property, just buying land that's right next to the forest, which is causing this mass amount of man-animal conflict, and it's leading to a very, very grim situation where retaliation is inevitable, and it's just like we're at constant loggerheads, man and animal, and that's not how it used to be. That's never how it was. So I think to begin with, that is step number one, to try and reduce that as much as possible. Again, I can't do it on my own. I can only do so much, and there's luckily an army of people that are willing to rally around that and support that as a cause and take it forward. So, that's the plan initially. What happens in the future, we won't know. But to continuously go to the forest and just take pictures and write, and it gave me that ability to dream. So to continue dreaming and just looking at a world that is my world, that is just, it makes me feel at peace. It gives me that ease that nothing else can ever give me. So yeah,
That's absolutely fantastic. Sorry? Yes, okay, so there you are. Shall we do that? How many people here have actually been to Corbett? Could I have a show of... Good Lord. That is fantastic. Look, the baton I gave him was one so that when he gets to be 72, he can come on the stage, interview somebody and ask, how many of you have been to Corbett? Because that damn forest has got to stay right where it is. We cannot let it be taken away. That is your job. My job for you is to make sure that Corbett and everything that Corbett represents, everything that you've written in this beautiful book. By the way, you write very, very well.
Thank you.
You really do. You write very, very well. I've been editing for a very long time, and I haven't seen 18-year-olds whose works I can't edit. And it's remarkable. If there are any questions, I don't know if there are mics. I don't know what the format is. This is the first time I've come to the Jaipur Lit Fest, which is, whoa, quite a fest. Do you have any questions to ask them? How they're going to help you? What they're going to do?
I feel like it's just everyone can make that difference. It's just small steps that need to be taken, you know, like step by step, baby steps. It's not even a big thing that needs to occur. It's just each person can make a difference by doing something small. So, like, to try and figure out what that is and to do that, you know, because it will, in the long run, it will benefit a lot of people and a lot of things that right now may seem very mundane and something that's not important, you know. But I feel like each and every one of us sitting here can make that difference, you know, just by doing the smallest of things.
So here's what's going to happen. Everyone imagines that इस देश की तरक्की जो है, कि विकास जो है, it'll be done by engineers and politicians and businessmen and bankers and XYZ. The world has never been changed by these people. The world has been changed by the writers, the artists, the thinkers, the photographers, the philosophers, the dancers, the singers. These are the people who have changed the world. That's the world you're going into, irrespective of which college you go to. I'll tell you this, right here in Jaipur, between March 19th and 26th, one of the world's largest wilderness congresses is going to take place. This is the 11th World Wilderness Congress. This boy is going to be here, and I hope a lot of you guys are going to be there as well. I really hope a lot of you will be there, because that wilderness is your life. Right now we're going around, I'm looking at this kid and I'm wondering, मैंने क्या गलत किया अपने जिंदगी में कि इसकी विरासत हमने छीन ली है. All those rivers, all those forests, all those mountains, all those coasts, they belong to him. That's why we fought our independence, freedom battle. And खुद ही मतलब हम खा जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे? So I owe you an apology. Let's end this session with an apology to you, from me to you. I didn't do enough. I tried damned hard, but I couldn't do enough. And a lot of what you've written about has been damaged. Corbett itself has grown, but outside Corbett, जैसे वो मुंडन कट की ceremony होती है, तो वही बाल रह गए हैं. अभी one piece of hope I must leave you with. That is that nature is self-repairing. You just leave it alone and it fixes itself. It's like the hair that will come out on your chin if you stop shaving. Sab baki aa jayega. Same thing. You have to do nothing. Just step out of the way. And that's the one thing that you've done. I've read that book twice. And I can tell you this, that you have the right ideas. You just need to make sure that you politely tell people of my age कि भाई आपने बहुत अच्छा काम किया, अभी ज़रा पवेलियन में जाइए, भाई हमारे ओपनिंग बैटिंग का समय आ गया है. Okay? And don't forget one more thing, that protecting wildlife is not just a matter of science. Protecting wildlife needs support. The people over here, I don't know, there could be somebody over here who's destined to be the one who makes your dream come true. So I think we'll make sure that the organizers don't throw us off the stage. Besides, we've got to get to Corbett, right? All right. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you both so much. Thank you, Neel, for writing that amazing book, and thank you, Bittu Saigal, for your insightful questions. Thank you both so much.
Protecting wildlife is not just a matter of science. Protecting wildlife needs support. The people over here, I don't know, there could be somebody over here who's destined to be the one who makes your dream come true. So I think we'll make sure that the organizers don't throw us off the stage. Besides, we've got to get to Corbett, right? All right. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys for coming out.
But sometimes there comes along a place that feels like it was made for you. Where the sublimely decorated amaranthine surroundings brings the charms of the old world to your special day. Where the aromas of the delectable culinary delights engulf your senses. An enchanting place that will bring alive the magic in the biggest celebration of your life.
Have you ever been in love?
Have you ever revisited past memories?
Have you ever been loved unequally?